everyone, I'm Caroline and have I got a crafting treat for you today. I've got 5 things that are quick and easy, and I will throw in cheap too because most of the things I got are from the thrift store or the charity shop and cost me hardly anything, and they're the sort of things that I think most people will be able to get. Sometimes things can be a little bit specialist, but I'm using things like chopping boards and picture frames, so I'm sure you'll be fine. Right, no time to lose, let's get on with the craft. For this project, I'm using this chopping board. It's a bamboo one, quite thin, and as you can see, it had a lot of marks on it. Now on the back, which I would have normally put on the front because I just like the whole that side, but that's not going to happen because these circles will not sand out. I have tried and I'm going to end up going right through the board if I keep going. So I'm going to use this side. All sanded, again, a bit of a wipe over with a wet wipe. You can see it's a little bit damp. Now this is so quick and easy and such fun to do. So the next thing I'm going to do is use some of this Rust-Oleum finishing wax. This is the white. It's always worth reading the instructions when you start something new because like this says apply sparingly, and I've seen some people apply this really, really thickly. And I'm all for saving money. If I don't need to apply it too thickly, then I won't because you'd only wipe the most of it back off anyway. Oh, I'm loving the effect of this. I can see why people go thick though already. It's taking longer. If I would just bludgeon this everywhere, then it would give an even coat much faster. But I'm happy enough, I'll just take my time a little bit. Now you can get this sort of effect by watering down some acrylic paint and using that. Or I think you can do it with chalk paint as well, although you won't get such a permanent finish. But I like this finish, this wax, because it seals the wood as well. So now, I'll take this wire off the back. We don't want that on. So now I'm going to glue this all over and then pop it in place. Oh yes, I'm liking this already. The next thing I'm going to glue on is this little key, which will give you a hint as to what I'm making. To give this more of a country cottage look, I'm going to thread this little piece of gingham through the top of the key and then tie a double looped bow. Make 2 loops. Tie them in a knot. Now there are 2 advantages for putting this on. One, I think it gives it that lovely cottage look, and also I can really put a good lot of glue on the back of there. I've got this butterfly here that I thought would be absolutely gorgeous on here. Now you can leave it like this if you want it a little bit more simple. You may decide simple country cottage is best. But if you're going to stick a butterfly on, just have a little look at all the places you could put it on and see which one you think is going to be best. I think I'm going to put it there. A run of glue on the back and on it goes. So now all that's left is to put a little cup hook in. So I'm going to want to come directly down from here, about there. Start the hole with a bradawl or anything pointy, and then screw your cup hook in. Now this would have been better with a smaller cup hook, but I didn't have one, so we're going for a big one. If it gets a bit tight to turn, get yourself a pliers and use that. If you haven't got a pliers, you can use a screwdriver to give you a little bit more leverage on that. I'm just going to glue a hanger on. Now I was going to nail one on, but this chopping board is thinner than I imagined, so when I started to try to fix it, it wasn't going to happen. So I'm just going to put a little bit of hot glue on there. You may be better off finding a glue that's a little bit more strong than hot glue. Or you can get an extra strong Gorilla hot glue. That may do the trick as well. And just to be sure, I'm going to put a bit of hot glue on top as well. Nobody will see the back, so it'll just make it extra secure. So there we have a quick, easy and cheap upcycled key holder. Let's have a look what this looks like up on my display. I just realised I forgot to turn my camera on when I glued this piece of false grass onto this chopping board. So I'll just have to tell you what I did. I used my hot gun and I got some of this grass. I put the hot glue on, but I only did it in sections because if you do it all, the first glue you put down will be cool and won't stick. So I did a little bit, then did a little bit and carried on like that. Then I flipped it over, cut around, cleaned up the terrible mess that the green grass stuff makes. It's awful, all black bits everywhere and bits of green. And it was at that point I remembered I hadn't turned the camera on. So we've got to this stage already. That's a good time saver. I've got my little sheep. I think he's lovely, but I am going to put some wax on him. Two reasons. One, I think it's always nice when sheep look a little bit more white. It's because we're in Wales and we have lots of white sheep. And two, I've only just had this tin of white wax and I want any excuse to use it because I'm having a lot of fun using it. I love all the contrasts of colours and textures with different woods and different ways of sealing the woods, things like that. It's such a beautiful product, so natural. It takes very little effort. Let me show you there. Look at those lines on there. Can you imagine how long it would take if you wanted to paint something like that? And it's all given to you on a plate when you use wood. Now I've got this bit of driftwood. Now I've been wondering what to do with it and I've decided I'm going to make it part of my diorama. I think it'll be a bit of fun. So I need to glue this on here. Now it's got a natural lie. If I try putting it like that, it's going to be awful difficult to get it to stand and I don't think it makes much difference. However it goes. I can turn it that way or I could turn it that way, which I don't like. But that sits nicely there. So now it's just make sure you got a nice angle and then glue it into place with more hot glue. Little tip with your hot glue gun, unless you've got one of these really fancy ones that are always at superbly high temperatures, just give your glue gun a couple of minutes to really heat itself through again if you've just recently used it. And that way then you'll be able to get a faster flow of glue, otherwise the glue gun isn't quite warm enough and after a couple of squirts it gets really stiff to come out. So I needed a lot there, so I let this heat up a little bit and then it comes out very quickly and much more hot than it is when you're using it on a regular basis, if you see what I mean. Very difficult to explain. So now we've got this, I need to put my sheep on and it's a matter of deciding where I want my sheep to be. I thought he'd look nice there. He could be climbing up there because sheep are notorious climbers, especially here in Wales. I think I'll put him there. So I'm going to do 2 feet with wood glue and 2 feet with hot glue. Because the hot glue will give you an immediate grab, but the wood glue will make sure wood on wood it really bonds well. So now we need some decoration. Got lots of bits and pieces here of greenery. Now I could add colour, but I'm quite liking the browns and greens. So let's see what it looks like before we put any other colours on. I think it's going to be ending up just browns and wood, natural wood and green. And now for a touch of reindeer moss, which I'm going to put my finger protector on for because otherwise I'll probably burn myself. I've decided to take this out. I love the moss so much, I think that's spoiling the look. So we're just going to put moss in. So there we have it. Look at that. I absolutely love it. And it was really fast. It was really easy, very cheap. This was, I think, 50p from the charity shop, possibly £1. The chopping board was about 50p, a piece of driftwood and some thrifted pieces of plastic plant. This Ranger moss I did get from Hobbycraft. It was reduced from £5.99 to £3.99 in this box. Right, let's have a look what this looks like up on my display. our next project is yet another quick and easy one. I love quick and easy projects. I've got this picture frame from the thrift store or charity shop that cost me 50p. Can't beat a bit of trash to treasure therapy. I've got to decide which of these papers I'm going to use, but you may think, oh, it's very expensive to buy in all these backing papers. It's not. I've got a really quick tip for you on how to get lovely quality backing papers very cheaply. I got this book in the thrift store. It cost me £1 and it's a book full of maps. It's got a few interesting pictures you can use too. If we go up here, you've got all different age and styles of maps. Look at that. And you would never buy that many pieces of craft paper for £1. So I'll give this a bit of a rub over before we start and then we'll open it up. Now in the ideal world, your frame will have little clips that are holding the back in. This is not the ideal world, so this was a bit of a pain. I used a hot glue gun. Because this had been hot glued in, hot glue melts. So I used my hairdryer and I just melted around the outside, pulled off the hot glue, and now, with a little bit of fiddling, off comes the back. Clear these last little bits of hot glue from inside the frame and we're ready to go. So I've taken the glass out, cleaned off the last little bits of hot glue that were stuck around the frame, and now I'm going to use some more white wax. If you're enjoying these 5 fast and easy crafts, then please give me a thumbs up. That will be great. Thank you ever so much. I love the subtle effect on there. I don't know if you can see it. It's ever so slightly got little bits in the cracks. I didn't want to overload the cracks. I like it like this, stylish but not too distressed. I didn't want it to look really well worn. Take this rose off. It would be lovely if it comes off whole. And it does. Ooh, I've got myself a rose. And now I'm going to put some backing paper in. Now I'm really not sure which one to go for. I'm going to be putting some bottles on this. So it's a matter of deciding which colour looks best with the bottles. So I think the best colour is going to be the map. So now I just measure how big I need the piece of paper to be. Cut it with my paper cutter and pop it in. And then I aid on the small side because I know I'm going to be covering it with just a little bit of twine just to finish it off. Give it a really nice look. If you need to get in a small space, don't forget to tuck your little hot glue stand in. And now I'm just going to add some bottles. Oh yes, I like that. So now out with the glue gun again, and we're going to glue these bottles in place. Now I'm putting the glue on the bottle rather than on the paper because I'll never match up the exact positioning. But be careful, I'm not sure how safe that is because this glue is very hot and it could crack your bottle. So I wouldn't recommend you do it this way. Figure out what's best for you. Now you haven't got to use bottles. You can use anything that you can find that you fancy putting in. You could use some flowers, some butterflies, seashells, anything like that. Now it's up to you whether or not you use the glass. I'm going to. So now I put the glass in the frame and this is going to fit in like that. Pop a little bit of hot glue on. It's pointless trying for too much because you can't do this in 2 parts and the hot glue will cool down very quickly on the glass. So for that reason, I'm now going to seal all the way around here by squirting hot glue into the gap. Now you know me, I like to show you my mistakes as well as the things that go well. Now I put too much hot glue on and there are a few bits showing around here. Plus, I've left some hot spring spaghetti under the glass. So if you're doing this, remember that and then make sure that you don't make the same mistake. But I still love it. So let's have a look and see what this looks like on my display. For this craft, I picked up this bowl in a thrift store for £1 And it was like this all over, really not very nice. It needed a good sanding down, but I'm going to be filling this bowl, so that doesn't matter. But I have sanded down the outside. I didn't sand down the bottom because it was taking so long. I thought, well, nobody's going to see the bottom. It'll be fine like this. So the first thing I'm going to do is put a white wax on here. You can sense the theme of today, can't you? White wax everywhere. I did roughly sand the inside of the top of the bowl. It's not going to be seen, but just in case any's peeking through, I'm going to give that a coating of white wax too. Now I need to raise the inside of this, so I'm using this bowl and I'm just going to put a little bit of hot glue on just to roughly hold it in place in the centre there. Hot glue this lovely piece of driftwood onto the bowl. Now I'm going to need to raise the level up, and I got a few things that I can use. I've got these stones, I've got glass beads, but I'm wondering if I can get away with using my moss. I get this off my apple tree in my garden. I've got a very old tired apple tree, poor thing, and it's completely covered in moss. So every now and then I take some off. Oh yes, I like the look on that. Now it's not covering everything, but don't panic about that, because at one point in here, probably about there, I'm going to make a little stone garden. So I'm going to use my mini pebbles. And then glue down the moss right to the edge of the stone so that you don't end up with the moss wandering off and getting a big unsightly gap. And we can't be doing with unsightly gaps. I've got this nest that I'm wondering whether to put on or not. I've got two of these. Now they're rather large, I know, for the size on the nest, but we may get away with that. I've got this lovely twig with some lichen on, so I'm going to snap that there. I think I'll glue that in there. It looks lovely. I'm going to put that just on the ground there. Oh, I think that looks beautiful. Right, before we go any further, I got these succulents that I'm going to pull out of their pots. I got these, I think, 50p in the charity shop, so pull those out. A little bit of a blob of glue there. Well, a big blob, because I want to be sure it's in the right place. That there. And then this one, I'll put behind, I think, there. That's lovely. This one will glue to the side of the bowl at the back. There. So I've put some tumbling blocks to support my little gnome. Now I'm going to fill in around the gnome with my reindeer moss, which is always so messy. Now I'm going to just add little bits of reindeer moss around the front, tie it all in so that the reindeer moss at the back doesn't look too odd. So I've now decided against putting the nest on, against putting the eggs in. Let's have a look what else we can do. I've got some plants here, so I thought I could maybe add a little bit. I don't want to add too much because I think it's lovely as it is. It's a lovely, simple design. So if you add too much, you can take away from that. But I want to add a few little bits and pieces, I think. Just a little bit of delicate white down there, I think would be lovely. Am I the only person who ends up gluing plants to their glue gun? Look at that mess. Now this is going to look completely different when I show it you up on my display, because you'll be able to see it front on. I can't tip it up because I don't want all the moss coming back out. But what would you have done? Would you have put more flowers on, do you think? Or less? None at all? How would you have finished off this bowl? Would you have put the nest on? I'd love to hear from you. Please let me know in the comments. Right, let's see what this looks like up on my display. Now this is a super fast and easy craft. I picked up this plaque for 50p at my local charity shop, and this was, although marked £1 in the 50p box, so I had this for 50p too. So the first thing I need to do is take this out. It had some clothes pegs hanging on it, but it was already broken, so this is coming out. Now the back is off, I can see where they were screwed in, so I can throw that away and take this one out as well. Now, I'm not going to paint this frame, it's in really good condition, and one of the ways of speeding things up is to not paint them. Apologies for if I'm out of frame. My camera has just run out of battery, so I'm having to work. I've only got one input, so I'm having to work without a monitor, so I have no idea what you can see. And this is a background, it's just a backboard with some hessian on, which is perfect, so I don't even have to do anything here. Now I'm going to be putting this in the middle there, but I could hot glue it, but this is really heavy. So as if this was being attached to the wall, I'm going to attach it to a screw, but it's going to be into the backboard. So this is going to be 2 centimeters down from the top of the backboard. So I now need to know where to put the screw by measuring where the screw is going to need to be here, which is about 2.5 centimeters plus the 2 centimeters up here. So I want my screw at 4.5 centimeters down. Alright, that's a problem. The little screws that they've used just aren't holding this strong enough, so I'm going to put loads and loads of hot glue on, and hopefully that'll do the trick. Now I've come through the back of the baseboard because I can't get a screw that's short enough that will be thick enough to actually get any grip, but it doesn't matter because this baseboard doesn't come against the back of the picture frame. So now I've hooked the picture onto that little screw, but I am going to pick up the bottom a little bit and put some hot glue under there just to give it a little bit more security because it's a very heavy plaque. I'm going to put a bit of hot glue up the top as well. Pop the clips down, and now I can take these screws out of here and I can put that holder along the top. And now I'm just going to touch up any little chips with this Pro Marker alcohol marker. Now that was a very quick and easy way of making some art. If this hadn't been so heavy, I could have just glued it onto the backing and that would have made it even quicker. Right, let's go have a look what this looks like up on my display. So, which was your favourite? I'd love to know. I'm still not sure. I think it's the sheep on the hillside, but I'm still not absolutely certain. If you let me know in the comments below too, if you've got anything, any suggestions you would like to add to the craft I've done. Would you have added more? Would you have taken some away? How would you have done these crafts? I really would love to know. I'll see you all next time, but until then, don't forget, have fun. Bye!